Good evening, viewers. On tonight's show we have got Mr. Matthews.
Good evening.
Mr. Matthews is a football expert, and so am I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
On tonight's show, if you want to revel in nostalgia, why not join us and take a trip down memory lane as we talk about 70s football,
Yeah. Can you tell me who won the FA Cup in 1970?
Chelsea. The first game was a 2-2 draw and Chelsea won the replay 2-1. I think that's right. They were brilliant games. The first game was at Wembley Stadium. Where was the replay held?
Old Trafford. In the first game, do you remember the Leeds winger Eddie Gray? He played so well. Also, this was the first FA Cup final replay, I think, since 1912.
Wow, yes, and the replay was watched by 28 million viewers on TV. It was in extra time, I think. There was a long throw in by Ian Hutchinson, yeah? And that enabled David Webb to net the winner for Chelsea.
Sure do. I also remember that Peter Osgood scored in every round of the FA Cup that year for Chelsea.
Right. Do you remember some of the Leeds United players at the time?
Yeah, there was Gary Sprague, Paul Madeley, Terry Cooper, Billy Bremner, Jack Charlton, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, who incidentally had one of the hardest shots in football. I also remember Alan Slipper Clark, Mick Jones, Johnny Giles, Eddie Gray.
Oh, that's right. And some of the Chelsea players I remember are Peter Bonetti, David Webb, Eddie McCready, John Hollins, John Dempsey, Ron Harris, John Baldwin, Peter Houseman, Peter Osgood, Ian Hutchinson and Charlie Cook. How's that?
Do you remember who managed Chelsea at that time?
Dave Sexton. And who managed Leeds United?
Don Revie, of course.
Brilliant, yeah, that's right. What about the 1971 FA Cup?
I remember it well. Arsenal beat Liverpool 2-1. Do you remember Steve Highway?
Sure do.
Well, he put Liverpool 1 up.
Right.
Then Arsenal equalised with a sort of scramble goal for Charlie George to score a brilliant goal late into injury time.
I also remember it well. I will tell you another thing. I remember that the 1970-71 season was a memorable year for the Gunners, right? The previous week they'd beaten Tottenham Hotspur to win the First Division Championship. Right, and that was amazing.
Yeah,
so they did the double then, yeah.
In 1972 they beat Arsenal 1-0. And do you know who scored the winning goal with a superb diving header 15 yards out from a Mick Jones centre?
Let me think. Yes, Alan Sniffer Clark.
Yep.
One of my favourite players of all time, yeah. Brings back memories of collecting, do you remember those football cards you used to get with bubble gum? A thin long strip of bubble gum and 3 cards in it?
You said you like Leeds, so I expect you were disappointed they didn't win it in 1973, yeah?
I sure was. The Ellen Road outfit were firm favourites to beat Sunderland, but they didn't. Sunderland became the first team outside the top tier of football to win the FA Cup since West Bromwich Albion. I think that was in 1931. Okay, do you know which teams emulated this feat in 1976 and 1980?
Yeah, Southampton in 1976 and the Hammers in 1980.
Yeah, I think he's right. You know, with your fantastic memory about footballing facts, yeah, I mean, this guy's a genius.
Do you know the name of the Sunderland player who scored the winning goal for against Leeds United?
I think, yeah, Ian Porterfield, and he scored in the 31st minute. Do you remember some of the players?
Yeah, let me see. David Harvey in goal for Leeds.
Right.
Jimmy Montgomery in goal for Sunderland. What about Mickey Horswell, Bobby Kerr, Vic Hallam and Dennis Stewart?
Yeah, I remember them, yeah.
In 1974, Liverpool beat Newcastle 3-0.
I expect there were large crowds for the final at Wembley.
Yeah, 100,000 were there.
Wow, actually I was in London on that day. What about Leeds United? In the 1973-74 season, they had an unbeaten run of 29 games from the start of the season.
Yeah, I remember.
Amazing. Yeah. How good is your memory on other First Division champions?
Let me see. In 1968, Manchester City won it. In 69, Leeds won. Then Everton in 1970, and of course Arsenal in 1971.
That's right. Now, how many times did Derby County win the title, and in what years?
Twice. I think they won it in 72 and 75.
Correct. Remember Brian Clough? He was a brilliant manager. Anyway, who won the title in 73?
Liverpool. And then of course Leeds in 74, Derby in 75, and then Liverpool in 76 and 77. What about the following year?
Well, I remember Hereford United, I used to follow them. In 76-77 season, they spent 1 year in the old second division, and they played Nottingham Forest in that season. But Nottingham Forest went up, and they won the first division title straight away. So Nottingham Forest won it in the 77-78 season.
Correct. Then of course Liverpool seemed to win everything. They won it for the following 2 years in 78-79 season and 79-80 season.
Then Aston Villa won it, remember that, yeah? But Liverpool were there again, they won it 4 times in the following 5 years.
Wow, hey, we're getting carried away here. This is 80s soccer. But never mind, we love it all.
Yeah, he's right. I could go on talking about this all evening.
So can I.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, good night viewers, so
Good night.
thank you, yeah, great.